Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Jack Remington of the Jack Remington NFL channel. The bad and the ugly, get that out of the way first. Only had 2 wins, lost 3. Started with the Patriots on that Thursday night at Minnesota. Had the big write-up, probably the biggest write-up I've had in at least a year. Felt really good about the game, and they were in the game, and we lost. I thought Mac Jones had almost 400 yards offense, but it just, their defense didn't show up. So then we had the Bengals. We won that game. Then we had the Jets who won that game. So we're 2-1 going into the later games of the day. Then we had Packers plus 6.5, and Philadelphia won up 13-0 and missed the extra point. And I told my wife, I was home watching the game, I said, "Hey, now we got our cover." And then Green Bay come back and took a lead. And then when they were about to go up 21-13, and they missed their extra point, was offset. And I said, "Oh, I just lost my cover." She said, "No, you got another second half. What are you talking about?" But I just knew with a 7-point spread, and they had missed a 1 field goal and touchdown. I just knew that I lost the cover right then, and I lost another half-point game. I'll have to go through it when the season's over. I know I had at least 7 half-point losses. I've only won 2. Then we had the Colts on Monday night, and they were getting trounced in the first half. But they make the comeback, and they scored twice in the third quarter. I got called into work, couldn't watch the game. Next thing you know, they're up by either a point or 2. I thought, "Oh, good. We laid 2.5. We got a chance to win this game." And next thing you know, Pittsburgh got the ball back and scored a touchdown, and that was the end of that. So we went 2 wins, 3 losses. That's the bad. The ugly is that write-up. I had convinced myself in the world that New England was going to win that game in Minnesota. I really wanted to win that game and take the time to do a big write-up, and it didn't work. And that's the ugly part. But the good is, one little teaser, we've won the last 9 out of 11 teasers. We did get a push on the one. I put on the other video, ties were just a no bet. With the first game that you have with this outfit that I'm with now, the first game is push the first leg of the 2-team teaser. It's a no bet. But if you push the second leg of the teaser, then you lose. And so I've had one of each. Last 10 out of 13, I've won. And I had one of those where I lost, and 2 of those where I pushed. But moving forward, they sent me an email that if I do this format next year, there'll be no more pushes. You push, you lose, because they do offer the 7.5 and 8-point teasers and things of that nature. But the great is, the bad, the ugly, and the good. Now the great is cash money. I'm hitting 84% of my money plays, 3 more half times with a push on another halftime. 15 wins, 1 loss, and 2 pushes on halftime bets this year. Now, I've never had a season like this. And on my live plays, I'm still doing pretty good. Didn't have many live plays last week. Just a couple of those few half times. So let's get to this week's games. I'll get off of this. There's a couple guys went 0-5, by the way, so it was a tough week. Trying to stay in rotational order. First game we're going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. No, I got 4 road teams and 1 home underdog. So, but 4 chalkers. My chalk, last 4 weeks, my chalk's been hitting 85%, and my underdogs are doing terrible. So maybe I've turned into a chalk better for a while. First chalker we're taking the Steelers. -1 at Atlanta Falcons. I just think the Steelers are just a better team. I think just Mike Tomlin, as bad as I keep saying he is, he's going to outcoach the guy for the Falcons. I just think I think his defense is better. And as long as they got that Watt guy on that defense, that one player makes the team mesh. Those spokes get tighter on that wheel. I've watched other handicappers on pregame.com, wagertalk.com, and you name it. And my friends have been, well, a linebacker's a linebacker, running backs. No, they're not. Certain combinations do very well. And right now the Steelers are playing good ball. I watched the highlights when they beat the Colts. I was pretty impressed with them. And they got the experienced team. I'm going to go with the Steelers. Game number 2. One that I'm going to get a lot of flack over, but I'm going to do this anyway. Even though there's been a line reversal, we're taking the Jaguars -1 at the Detroit Lions. Now, right now, I think the Lions are favored by 1.5. And the guy I just emailed him. He told me there's some 2.5s out there. He said the money's coming on the Lions. So that makes me feel a little better about the situation. I know Detroit's got a top 5 offensive line. They've really improved their offensive line. Goff is the real deal when he gets on a roll. They almost beat Philadelphia in week 1. Everybody forgets about that game. I mean, it was a high-scoring game, and they just couldn't, Philadelphia couldn't stop this team. I mean, if they played the fifth quarter instead of the fourth quarter, Detroit could have won this game. They're impressive with their offense at times. They put on a good show on Thanksgiving Day. We went with that teaser we went over the Buffalo Lions game. We barely won by a couple points, but we won. And I very rarely do over-unders. We had Atlanta plus 11 was the second leg of the teaser. I think that the Jaguars' defense is better than the Lions. And the Jaguars' offense, Trevor Lawrence showed me something with that Ravens game last week that I deliberately stayed away from. They were begging you to take the Ravens. Oh, we're laying at 4. I mean, I smelled a rat. I didn't want to take the Jaguars because I've been getting burned with them. I'd lost like 4 in a row, either betting on them or against them, and the first couple times I took them, they cashed for us, but in live money, I made good money when he beat the Chargers on the money line. That was my first big bet of the year. Cash unit play, and on the contest I've won 2 or 3 times, but the last 3 or 4 times these Jaguars they've beaten me. No matter bet on them or bet against them, they're my poison team. So I'm going to try them this time here because I think all things being equal, I think the coach of the Jaguars is going to outcoach Campbell of the Lions. I know everybody likes Campbell; he's the rah-rah guy, but this late in the season, there's things going on, and the Jaguars are mathematically involved. If they can get on a run here, they could sneak in that 7th spot. Lions are alive as well. They had won 3 or 4 in a row, but I'm going to take the Jaguars' better defense here. Pass rush is probably that even. Matter of fact, the Lions may even have a slightly better pass rush with their front 4 versus Jaguars front 4, but everything else, the back 7, the Jaguars totally outclass the Lions, and that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on Trevor Lawrence getting just enough passing, keep the passing game going, and he's on a roll a little bit here now. If he gets hot, like he was early in the season, this could be a high-scoring game, and if it's a high-scoring game, I like the Jaguars, and we're only laying a point. Game number 3, we're taking the Washington Commanders at the New York Giants, another road chalker we're taking. So we're betting against a home dog. Home dogs have not done well the last 5, 6, 7 years. I've talked about it on other videos before. I think the Giants, they got that false record, and they're starting to show. I don't think they're going to even make the playoffs. And I wish that I'd saved some unit money and just went all in when they had the certain props of them not winning the division or betting on the other teams. The NFC East, all teams, as of right now, they would be in the playoffs. But I think the Giants are going to fall off. And now they're starting getting priced that way too. I just looked the other day. I just think the Commanders are playing good ball. They won the last 5 out of 6, and the one they lost to the Vikings. A game that they could have won. It was a winnable game. I was impressed how they beat the Eagles. Saquon Barkley, I hope he's not playing hurt for the Giants. He hasn't done much the last couple of weeks, and that's usually, like I told you, but Derrick Henry last year, when I saw him only get like 60 yards in a game against Kansas City. They won the game, but he only got 60 yards. I told him on the other video he's going to get like 150. He was doing 140 a game, but when he got 60 yards or 70 yards, it was way less than 100 his average. That's the first sign that he had that bad foot, and he started missing some games. They're playing hurt. They're not going to tell the trainer and the coaches, "Hey, I'm hurt." They're going to keep it quiet. They want to play. I was like that too when I was an athlete. I didn't want to take time off. So I get it. I think the Commanders are just playing good ball, and I think they have momentum, and I think they got better defense. I mean, and then they got the guy back, that young guy for the defensive end for the Commanders. He's a beast. By one player, and makes the rest of them play tighter. And the Giants, I just think they're running out of gas. Daniel Jones has got potential, and I just think the Commanders is the play here. Game number 4. Another one I should have my head examined. We're taking the Green Bay Packers. They're at the Bears, and the Bears are home dog. They're spotting the Bears 4.5 points. Now I think it was 3. I was driving home tonight, and I was talking to a guy. He says, there's some 3s out there now in Vegas and offshore. It's got all indications that Justin Fields is going to play for the Bears, and Rodgers is going to play for the Packers. But it doesn't matter. I think how effective. I kind of want Justin Fields to play because he's got the separated shoulder on his non-throwing arm. He's not going to run as much. He's going to favor that shoulder. I mean, he's not as dumb as Baker Mayfield, who ran out there and trying to get first downs, and he had the separated shoulder last year for the Browns. I think Green Bay, they're going to go on a run here, and they're going to peel off a couple wins here, and then they're right back in the thick of things. Chicago, I think they're playing for next year. You have to ask yourself this question, folks. Why would the Bears play this? I mean, Justin, the Fields guy for the quarterback for the Bears, he's their franchise player. You're going to risk losing him like this? I mean, your season's done. Play for next year. And right now, they got the lock on the number 2 pick. The second quarterback is Simeon. He's got an oblique. And that's right up in here. I mean, I'm telling you, you can hardly move. It's like having a severe back injury. Every muscle is connected to that center of your body. The oblique is a tough one. Albert Pujols had oblique problems 10 years ago. Missed a lot of games as a hitter for the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, he missed a lot of games, and that one year he didn't hardly hit any home runs. That one season's cost him now because he could have broken Barry Bonds' home run record. But anyway, this is a football channel, not baseball. So that was pick number 4. And last pick, I mean, I'm going back and forth, and I'm going to make my pick, and I'm going to stick with it. We're replacing the Saints plus 3.5. I don't think we won the Saints not one time this year. Every time we take the Saints, they burn us. We cannot win with the Saints. I don't know what it is. One time we went against them when they beat us. So the Saints are one of my poison teams. And the Buccaneers, and the article came through today. I saw it before I was on break. And it says that Tom Brady might go back to the Patriots next year. I hope it's true. But these guys do anything for the sports journalism. The sports journalism, the toll, it's almost as bad as the mainstream media for the politics channel I run. I mean, these sports guys, they should know better. It didn't happen back in my day. It was much better back in my day. But having said that, we're going to replace the Saints game. I told everybody we're going to take the Saints, but we'll scratch. I'm making a last-minute scratch. And we're going to take the Cincinnati Bengals plus 2. That's not a whole lot of points. I'd love to have gotten 3. But we're not going to get it. So right now it is at 2.5. By the way, I just talked to somebody 2 hours ago. It's like 3:00 in the morning Pacific time, early Saturday morning. I hate getting in front of the Chiefs because the Chiefs, they got the look of a Super Bowl winner, and their offense is doing better now than when they had Tyreek Hill and a couple other guys, and they got playoff revenge. I mean, this is the team that knocked them out of the championship game last year. And the Bengals have beat them a couple times in a row now. Can they beat the Chiefs again? Well, yes, they can. I mean, the Bengals are coming to their own. I mean, they're going to start putting some heat on the Ravens. The Ravens lost last week to the Jaguars. That fantastic finish for the Jaguars. And then Tucker missed a 67-yard. I mean, he missed it by about a foot. I mean, he almost hit the NFL record. I mean, so the Ravens were just a foot away from winning that game anyway. That was a pretty impressive game when you watch the highlights. I didn't think so at the time, but if you watch a couple times now, I mean, both teams impressed me. The Ravens impressed me too. To come back like that with 14 seconds left, and got a couple plays and kicked that long field goal. I mean, that was impressive. I think the Bengals are coming into their own. I think the Bengals are getting a little stronger. That Joe Burrow, he's starting to find the range. And the guy in Vegas, he told me that the Bengals, the last 5 weeks of the NFL season, weeks 8 through 13, they're the top-ranked team in the NFL for second halves. So I thought, really? So I started looking, and sure enough, the Bengals and the 49ers, I mean, they're not. They're kicking ass in the second halves. The Bengals for the AFC and the 49ers for the NFC. And I'm telling you, the Bengals are coming to their own. It's not over. The Bengals can still win that division, and they're playing really well. I hate getting in front of the Kansas City Chiefs, but this might be a good spot. And I got to have 5 games for the contest, and those are the best 5 I'll come up with. I did like the Saints for the longest time, but I think Tom Brady. I'm just afraid of Tom Brady now. He's focused, and I'm watching him on his post-game conference. I mean, that loss from Cleveland, he's not happy. He lost his team going to a wedding and the divorce from that Giselle, whatever her name is, and all these personal problems. I mean, how old is he? 45, 46 years old? And come on, I mean, he's already got an extra 10 years that he shouldn't have had, because most quarterbacks are done by the time they're 36, and he's still on the team. They're bending over backwards for this guy, and he's great and all that good stuff. But you know what? I hate to go against my man Tom Brady, but you know what? I do this on my politics channel too. I bash the Democrats every chance I can, but I bash Republicans too when they're wrong. I try to be a stand-up person, and I'm sure. I'm not perfect. I'm sure I've done things and I've yelled at people and raise my voice at times and push back when I didn't get all the facts. And I've made mistakes too in my time, but I try to be a fair person. I try to make things right. And in my mind, I try to do people right, the best of my ability. And I'm trying to do Tom Brady right too, not defend him in my house with the girls, and my daughters, and my cousins, and my nieces, and my wife. They all defend just Giselle, and it's a woman, Screw Tom Brady. He needs to retire. Well, but I understand. I'm 65. I have no plans to. I don't want to retire. I could retire tomorrow. I could retire tomorrow and have just the same. Matter of fact, I probably could make a couple $100 more income if I were retired tomorrow. I don't want to retire. If I'm able-bodied and I'm lucky to work, so I work. I was trained to work. So I'm going to work until I'm 70, 71, 72, whatever. So I'm going to get penalized on Social Security. But it's a different video for a different day, different topic, different channel. Brady's got to get his team. He's got to win back that locker room. But maybe he will. I was 4th and 10 on that Cleveland game. The few hours I was home that day, that was the only game that was on at that spot. And we have Raptors. We got rid of the cable. It's cost too much and nothing on it, nothing worth watching anyway. And you couldn't get the NFL channels anymore. So, but you got the rabbit ears for free, and and that was the only game that was on, was the Cleveland Tampa Bucks. So I watched it, to take a look, and it looked like the Bucks had the game won. It was 4th and 10, and they scored a touchdown, sent it overtime, and they got the ball, and then the rest they won. Good for Cleveland, good for them. I was surprised. Tampa had that game clearly won, and maybe that's their rallying cry. All those teams in the NFC South are below 500, and I think the Bucks are 5-6, no 5-7. By a significant margin. We could have a division winner, and I hope to see this. We could have a division winner, 7 wins and 10 losses. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Now, a couple years ago, or it might have been last year, 2 years ago, if the Giants, if the Dallas Cowboys show up in week 17 and they were favored to beat Philadelphia, at Philadelphia, they lay down and let Philadelphia win a game. So that way the other team got to the playoffs with a 7-9 record. The New York Giants almost won the division with a 6-10 record, and I was praying. I remember making that video saying, I hope the Giants win this thing at 6-10, just to see it happen. They got slonkered the first round. Washington got slonkered the first round. I just wanted to see it happen. And why I want to see it happen, I want to see all these crybabies. Oh, look, this division winner 7-10, we should be in the playoffs, and we're sitting. Well, you know what? That's part of the game. You play who the schedule is for, and you still got to win that division game in that playoffs, in that wild card round. And I remember when the Saints Seattle Seahawks was 7-9 in a 16-game schedule, and they knocked off the 12-4 Saints. The Saints were the number 1 wild card because they couldn't beat the 49ers. They're both 12-4, but the 49ers had beat them twice, so they were an automatic division winner. And the Saints, the same record, but they lost twice to 49ers. They were the wild card team. And darn Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, they beat those Saints, man. That was great. We had Seattle too. But Drew Brees, he brought them back, and they took a 3-point lead on them late in the game. I'm like, they're going to pull this out. Nope, no worry. Russell Wilson got them to win. They got trounced the next round, but it's not the point. But the NFC South, so I was thinking you could take any underdog in their division games, and you got a good chance to win, no matter who you're going to bet on. And I just think the Saints, they usually have the Bucks number, but they did lose 20-10 early in the season. But it was like 13-10 almost the entire game. There was no scoring in the middle of the game. And then the Bucks, Brady got them again with a minute left to make it 20-10. Very competitive game. And it could be the time that the Bucks could sweep them this year if they win again. So I just think the Saints, they played the 49ers tough. They lost 13-0. But you know what? Kamara fumbled on the 1-yard line or something. Oh, my God. And they almost covered. That's why I stay away from that game. They scored 1 touchdown. They covered that game. So those are the 5 picks. We got the Steelers, the Jaguars, the Commanders, Green Bay Packers, and the only home team and the only underdog we got, the Bengals +2. They're hosting the Chiefs. I hate getting in front of the Chiefs, but I got to have 5 teams. It's going to make and they're teasers. Got 2 teeters this week. Where's my sheet? See, I left the other sheet at work. I'm due to lose a teeter sooner or later, so we got 2 teeters this week. The 7-point teaser, we got the Ravens -1, and they're hosting the Denver Broncos. The line set here for the Soup Contest Simulator on Wednesday morning, it's Broncos +8. I believe this is going up. So we're getting the best of the number. So the first leg is Ravens -1. The second leg is Titans +12. They're at Philadelphia. I know I should have my head examined, but I think 12 is enough. I think Derrick Henry's going to run wild on the Philadelphia. Their one weakness is their run defense. I'm just looking for a close game. And I don't really care who wins. I just want the Titans to cover. That's the first teaser. The second teaser is 6.5-point teaser. We got the Saints +10. So I'm trying to lose a teeter so I can get that streak over with. Saints +10 and the Colts +17. Taking 2 high flyers. They're at the Dallas Cowboys. That line's going up too. The look-ahead line for that one, I believe it was Cowboys -8. Then within like a minute, the guy told me at the Las Vegas Hilton, it went from 8 to a 9.5. And then a couple hours later, it was 10. Then it was 11, 11.5. He saw some 12 offshore. Now it got down back to 10.5. And the line set here for 11.5 on the contest on Wednesday morning. And I understand it's 12 and 12.5 again right now as we're speaking. Money's coming on Dallas. And you know what? The Colts, they lost twice to Titans. I mean, if the Titans will have to collapse, and they got to win most of the remaining games to have a shot at winning the division. I don't think they can get a wild card. They've got too many losses now. But 17 points, take a shot at it. So recap the teasers. The 7-point teaser, Ravens -1, Titans +12. The 6.5-point teaser, Saints +10, Colts +17. So there it is. So enjoy the games. I'm trying to keep the video shorter. The biggest complaint I got is the videos are too long, but I think what I got to say is very important about football, and I'll give away good tidbits here. But the guy in first place, Happy Stir, he's got 2 entries. In the second entry, he was perfect, and he's got 40-some. Happy Stir entry to him, looking right at it, 40.5 wins. I mean, that was my chance to catch him. If I'd went 5-0, I'd have kept pace with him. But he's too far ahead of me now. He's 6 or 7 games ahead of me. It'll be really hard for me to catch him now. He's got to falter. He's got to have some bad weeks, and I got to have nothing but good weeks here on out to catch him. So, but I'm still in striking distance. I know I only won 2 last week, but that's okay. I'm gonna keep plugging ahead, and I like my picks. The one I'm not sure about is the Bengals one, but you know what? It might be the one. It might be the East one to cash. I'll give you a tidbit to part with here today. The easier the ticket looks, harder to cash, and the more high flyer you're throwing your money away. Those are the tickets that come in. They seem to come in a lot. So enjoy the games. It's a great week. Enjoy the NFL. Don't let that noise from this journalistic malfeasance that's spreading in every industry ruin you, ruin your love for the game. Bill Belichick's wrong. He's lost it, and all these headlines, and that's a bunch of noise. You got to be able to read it for yourself and figure it out for yourself. But that's what I'm here for. You're getting me for free. So thank you, players. Thank you, pregame.com, Forumites. I mean, it's a pretty good community. It was great when I first joined it, and it got started getting bad, but they've cleaned it up. It's getting great again. Go to pregame.com and sign up and take a look. You'll like what you find. Thank you, players. See you next video. Thank you.